Hi everybody. Well, this is the day that we're going to be cutting this shit box in half. I have to get a cup of coffee to actually do this. I'm going to show you how my little, how can I say, deduction came about, or my research took about, and how I'm going to cut this. The biggest thing you always see is everybody says, oh, I cut my car, or I cut the car, and they never tell you how they come about figuring out how to do it. There's one guy in Germany did an S1 Evolution Quattro, Sport Quattro, the one for Alta Roar. You saw it on Petrolicious, or whatever you want to call it. And what it was is he had all the original blueprints and how to do it, and he did a really good job. He's going to do a much better job than I did, because his is going to be, his is light and strong. Mine's going to be strong. As what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing a lot more plating, just to be on, I'm not an engineer, so I'm going to be on the safe side of having it all together. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I came to the conclusion on where I'm going to cut and how I'm going to cut. So let's, I'll cut right over to this and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. All right, this is the first shot on how we're going to look. This is a magazine from the 90s. A guy did let me just turn it like this. Oh, okay. We'll try and look at it like this. Take a look at this. The seats are all the way back. Remember that on when we actually do the cut in the pan, because the seats, you want a little bit of a, a fake rear seat, because these things don't sit. Now, you have to have the forward part, the top part, being pulled forward, because I'll show you here in a second of what I'm doing in the car, actually, on how far the 320 millimeters sets forward the actual rear pan. If you just brought the pan forward and kept the original seats to how far they generally go back for the leg room for the rear passengers, this seat cushion right here would be one pleat instead of two. And a normal Quattro or a coupe has 3 pleats. So we're trying to get roughly this size, and it's pretty much straight up and down right here. Now, I'm going to show you in the car how I'm going to determine where I'm going to cut here and here, and I'll show you also on the rear also. Okay, here is the rear seat pan. The rear seat pan, this is from the 5+5, and where you want is you want the rear seat pan to come all the way back and have it fit pretty much right there, so you can pull it right out. So if it's going to be almost almost all the way up to the top of this, as you can see in the picture before, I'm going to move this section right here forward. So I'm going to cut this right here. This is where I'm going to cut it to bring it forward. And this is my little bar, 320 millimeters exactly. On the rear subframe that I have for the 4000 Quattro, the front part of the inner well is, you put this right here, and if you take a look from here down to here is 320 millimeters. Let me go over there, and maybe I can get a much better shot of it to show you. All right, let's come over here and I'll show you what this is. This is a 320 millimeter bar, exactly. The 4000 Quattro rear is cut right here and sliced right off, because all the front was cut off because of rust. But it's going to go to right here. None of this is there. It's not, not even going to be feasible. So if you put this where it's going to be, is 320 millimeters right here. This is where I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it over to here, bring it down, then cut where the other seat pan is, right in back of it. So this section is right here. This is going to go up to here, so I can weld in the bits and pieces. And this is all going to have to be spliced in. But this is a big portion of it. Now let's get on to the windows. I'll show you what it is for the coupe, what I did for there, and how I'm going to cut the top part up here different. So let's go over it. Let's move into a different shot. It's pretty much what it is. Okay, now we're over here. This is the back part of the Coupe GT. This is all cut out on pretty much roughly where it's going to be. Now, when I use this, I use 320 millimeters here. This is where the original frame came to. On this, the original frame was, seeing how the actual door was actually raked more was raked further back than those doors. Those probably have a 3 to 5 degree rake or something like that. The other one, I think the coupe had probably a probably 10 to 15 degree rake. So this section, if you see where it's marked, this is where the original coupe window was. So I decided, seeing how I don't really know what the rake is going to be, or actually on how to what to calculate this cut would be. So what I did was I cut the bottom, because that should be exactly the same. This is all pretty much the same, and I cut this on exactly 90 degrees up, so I can trim this back. So when I fit the back part of the coupe, I can show you what I'm going to do there. And another thing with the 5+5, it has a sunroof, and I want to try and keep the sunroof, and I'll show you what I'm trying to do there. But let's first give this kind of a cut, and actually I should show you over here also on the 5+5. I'm being pretty erratic right now. On the 5+5, on where I'm going to cut there, just to try and save the roof, or save the sunroof. It's pretty much it. So let's just head one little thing back on there, and then we're going to start getting cutting. Now, on the 5+5, you have a channel underneath here. This is basically the box section of the roll cage, if you want to call it. Then you have a panel with supporting ribs, but this one has a sunroof that's all welded inside. But there's a channel inside here, in between where the sunroof is and where this the box section or roll cage style section, if you want to call it that, or the integral roll cage, if you want to have, of the car, just made out of sheet metal. It's not really a roll cage, but a rollover protection. What I'm going to do is, in that ridge in between the sunroof and the inner and outer walls of the unibody, I'm just going to cut it straight up, pretty much right there. That's all it is. Just take the Sawzall, cut it up to right here. I'm going to cut this straight up. This is going to fall backwards. This I'm going to cut straight down, right all the way down, or I cut this window from this edge all the way down to match that, and then cut the whole pan out. So without no further ado, I'm going to turn the camera off, finish my coffee, and come back here and let's chop this mother apart. One. We have to measure all the other stuff and figure out how to cut this thing. All right, let me go get my measuring tools. First thing, this is the measurement bar from the wheel well that we're going to bring in. It's going to go to right there. So this is where we're going to have to cut, basically down to this ridge. This ridge is, for better parts, is a frame, because it's a box section. Go down here, go down here. This is roughly where the line is, so I'm going to stay a little bit proud of it and just cut straight across and do the same thing. Also, in order to get over here, I'm going to go in, seeing how I'm not going to use any of this quarter, take the Sawzall, run it in here, bring it, just slide it over, and, cut down, then cut straight over until it's fully cut, until you're into the sheet metal here, because this is pretty much just sheet metal, but this is all box section. So let's cut that. Wow. All right. Almost done. Yep, got it. All right. We're in business. All right, let's get this thing out of here. Whew. Makes me happy. And now, you know why I left it on the axle, so I can move it around. I just look stupid. Well, even though it's a cold, shitty day here in New Hampshire, I'm pretty happy about this. Because what I really wanted to do, I wanted to make sure when I put the kept the axle in, that I could move this thing around. Maybe I ought to make a trailer out of it. Tow it behind the Sport Quattro. Like that guy who used to, in England, used to tow the Sport Quattro behind his Sport Quattro. I forgot what his name was. But it was hilarious. So, now's the point where we have to get this out of here, and we have to start doing the other stuff. Now, we're getting somewhere. Now, we have the top half of this Coupe GT right here, and the bottom suspension of the 4000 Quattro. What we got to do next is we got to put these things in there. It's going to be absolutely rough. I'm telling you right now, because when I get pretty much, it's too cold for bodywork right now, and you know it's rusty. I want to clean everything up, but we have to sit there and go, okay, I have to go out. You saw me build the jigs. I also built another thing right here that I'm going to show you in a second. But first, there we go. Come on, get back, get back, get back, get back, get back. It's off. It's not that heavy. And that is kind of where it's going to be. Boy, this thing's going to be short. I never realized how much so. But let's get the gantry set up, and I'll show you what I'm going to do there. Now, we are ready to start combining this stuff up. Well, you can take a look, and most of it, I mean, it's not the best cuts in the world, but who cares? We're going to be grinding it to making it fit anyway. We don't know. But what we have here is the jig that we made in one of the episodes. That's the front part, and this is the rear part. This rear part will be bolted on. I got a bunch of bolts over there. Put it on the subframe, roll it down. What I also did is, let's see if you can see this. Put that down a little bit. This is an old, let's see, what can I call this? I think it is a weight rack or whatever. And what I did, it was being thrown away at my friend's gym. They were throwing it in the dumpster. So I grabbed it. I knew kind of what I wanted to do with it. This is what I kind of wanted to do with it, but I wasn't sure. So this is a test to see if it happens. Now what it is I put a bunch of wheels that I had kicking around, a bunch of casters. I believe they're 8-inch casters, and I'm going to use some tie down, basically ratchet straps, and lift up the rear subframe and slide it in after I bolt the front part of the jig on. Now let's bolt this thing on. We will. You won't see me bolt the front on because I can't get the camera down there anyway. So. But let's just get a rough estimate of what's going on and what we can do. Well, if I you only see in the top of my head. Got the jig on the rear subframe, jig on the front. Problem was when I put the jig on the front, what happened was there's a support center section right where the drive shaft bearing mount goes. So I had to cut it out. You saw that it's off camera. You know, nobody wants to see me grinding that stupid stuff. So let's see if we can slide the subframe in and see what it looks like. It's there. Cut it a little short, but, you know, well, whatever. You gotta you have to remember, you and I are doing this at the same time, but at least it's pretty much equal. So I'm going to put some braces in, weld them up so I can take that jig off, and there we go. And then we can put the back on. Well, all right. Let me box in that frame. Well, guess what? We were at the point of having to tack something in to make it work, you know, just to set it in there. My calculations weren't the greatest. I'm about 3 to 4 inches away from where I'm supposed to be, but just so the two-wheel drive and the four-wheel drive chassis is so different into the rear that it's going to be a complete box frame anyway. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start by welding up some supports up here. This is an old door bar from an Audi coupe. That's what it is. And pretty much what I'm going to do is put it right here, weld it to the towers. And I got one exactly the same size. We're going to weld over there. Then we're going to brace the bottom. And I think I'm going to use this old seat frame because the metal is very stiff, very tight, really rigid. So that way we can put that in there for, albeit temporary supports, but until we get the coupe rear section on this, we have to support it somehow because we're going to have to use this in order to put the coupe rear section on it, or at least mock it up. So let's do this. I've already cut up the door bars and the other stuff, and I'll just tack it in, and we'll make it work. And I'm only going to tack it just so because I'll probably have to cut it off and readjust it. But let's when we get to that juncture, we get to that juncture. Sit there and see this. This is balanced on the frame or on the gantry. This is on, not welded in. I got to really sit there and think about what I got to do here, how it's going to be boxed in, because it's one of these things where you have to think first, and that's one of the major aspects of it. Another thing is the roof skin right here. We're not going to use this. I got to cut this off. I want to use this part of the top of the roof skin for the coupe because it has a ridge line in it, and it'll make it make it much cleaner. And also looking at the sunroof, where I'm going to have to probably put drains in. I'm going to have to lop it off in order for it to fit into the Coupe GT rear. That's the thing. But I got to figure out how to do it. So I think I'm going to end this video as in, okay, we cut up a 5x5, who cares? But we are now making a Sport Quattro, and it's boy, as close as it's been in a long time. So let's see if we can get, $400 free, $100. So it's $500 worth of metal here that I want to put together. And hopefully we can have some fun with it without killing ourselves. Whatever, it's Group B. All right, see you on the next video, and we'll talk to you later.